Welcome back to the program. In a past episode of First Issues, we discussed the good, the bad and the ugly of divorce with therapist Tumelo Masalila and Wairimu Gachungi in an effort to see how places of employ can support their personnel who may be going through this difficult time.
How then do employers or companies or businesses then support their employees in a way that would help them thrive in spite of what is going on outside of the workplace, or even help them deal with their problems outside so that they're able to cope and manage and, still be able to do their work?
It's high time, that employers could become deliberate and intentional about the well-being, the general well-being of their employees. And I'm saying this because this is something that is not common in Botswana. We have where people are resourced to be better at what they do at work, but forgetting that they come from homesteads and setups which maybe probably wouldn't be as welcoming and well structured as in the place they work in.
I believe workplace should have a space for personal development, training, and it become a holistic approach where the organization realize that all the domains of our lives, especially social domain, which social domain brings about family, affect your career or your work. Because your social domain, if it is lagging down, if you're going through impact of divorce, definitely your mental health is affected. Your emotional health is affected. And you cannot function well at the place of work.
So programs have to be put in place deliberately. We need to go to the extent where now social issues are not ignored. If maybe perhaps you are bereaved, we need to really show the care. And I think that part, bearing in mind our culture, we are doing well on that. But now it needs to go further, where I could come to work and know that I can still talk to you and talk to you about issues that are happening to me at home, and even consider that as a safe space. Not where tomorrow I'll hear that, my issues, the whole office is talking.
This evening, we continue this discussion, considering the legal aspects of divorce with attorney-at-law Bonolo Selelo.
Bonolo, thank you so much for coming on First Issues, affording us your time. We're here today to talk about divorce. But from our understanding, there are legally accepted reasons as to why one would be granted a divorce. Perhaps you could speak to those.
Yes. So in terms of Botswana law, there's only one reason why a person should be granted a divorce, and that is because the marriage has irretrievably broken down. And then there are 4 ways to prove the irretrievable breakdown. One is that the person that is the defendant that you want a divorce from has committed adultery to the point where you can no longer reasonably be expected to continue in the marriage or to be with them. The second one is that they have conducted themselves in an unreasonable way, unreasonable behavior that you can no longer tolerate. The third one is desertion, that they've just up and left, they don't take care of you, the family, and so on. And the fourth one, which is the most diplomatic one, is if you've been living apart for 2 years or more. Mm-hmm. Yes.
But in those cases, how do you then go about seeking legal separation? Not even separation, but divorce, completely getting out of this union?
So for you to be able to get a divorce, you have to bring a matter at court by way of summons. But you have to be married for at least 2 years. Yeah. So 2 years minimum for you to be able to even bring that type of matter. But if you want to bring it before the marriage is 2 years old, you have to go to court and ask for that leave by showing that you are suffering from what is called exceptional hardship. That, this marriage, the person is treating you so badly, so horribly that you cannot continue with the marriage to the 2 years that is required.
Let us track back a little to the issue of assets, right? How are they divided between the parties during a divorce? You'd find people have maybe a retirement fund somewhere, some have savings, some even have businesses. So how are those going to be separated?
It depends on the marital regime, right, or the proprietary regime. So we have in community of property, out of community of property, or an antenuptial contract. And the antenuptial contract sometimes is a mixture of in and out. So in community of property, effectively everything is pulled together, all the debts, all the assets, and then they're divided in half. The only exception is pensions. There was a recent Court of Appeal judgment that said before a pension matures, it doesn't fall into the pool for community of property. And then with out of community of property, each party has their own asset unless the other party can show contribution into the assets that the other one has. So sometimes people will marry out of community of property but will be married for 20 years. And then they sort of merge their lives such that and then it's like, okay, no, this time, and then they're buying a plot. So they mix their assets so much that even though they're married out officially, the way they're living their lives is a fusion. Yes.
I know we've spoken about it, but I want you to clarify further. But legally, is there such a thing as a bad or a good reason to get a divorce?
Aside from the 3 ways to prove divorce, the 2-year separation one, the divorces come out faster, because what then happens is that the other party who you're asking for a divorce from will consent, and in those situations there tends to be a settlement agreement, and that settlement agreement will deal with issues of children, maintenance, assets. And in that situation, you find that the divorce is granted in 6 weeks, and then you wait another 6 weeks for the decree absolute, and you're done. And in those instances, I would term it a good divorce because you're not required to say a lot of bad things about your spouse. Unlike with the other 3, there you have to really say bad things about your spouse. And there isn't even a guarantee that you'll get a divorce after that, right? So I feel that it then causes a lot of friction. Imagine saying this person was beating me, or this person is misusing our assets and so on, and the judge looks at the matter and said, no, I'm not satisfied that your marriage has broken down. Go back home.
To what degree should I don't want to call it a mistreatment, but the proof be satisfactory to the judge?
Each case differs, right? So one thing that might be acceptable to you might not be acceptable to me, and vice versa. So it's for you to actually demonstrate to the court why you say the adultery is to a point where you can no longer tolerate it, which means that there's a tolerable amount of a level of adultery or unreasonable behavior and so on. So it's for you to show her, okay, for me just once is intolerable, right? And demonstrate that to the court. Or unreasonable behavior, what constitutes unreasonable behavior? Does this person have to beat you? Is it the way they talk to you and so on? But can you tolerate it?